Hello and happy Sunday. It is May 3rd, 2020. Hope you guys are doing well out there. My name is Jim Piela. I am a New York City-based saxophonist, composer, and educator, and I'm here today to answer some questions from the internet. All right, here we go. First question is from Instagram, from Megan Ralt. What are some good long-term projects to do to stay motivated? Great question. The first thing I thought about was transcription. If you haven't transcribed before, now's a perfect time to pick a solo and try to figure it out. I like to go to Miles Davis and Paul Desmond as kind of starting places for transcription, but there are lots of really wonderful solos out there that are fairly manageable for a younger student. If you are already an experienced transcriber, I would suggest trying to transcribe someone's playing off of an entire album. I've done this a couple of times. I did it with Hank Mobley's Soul Station. I transcribed everything Hank played on that, and it was a really, really good experience, and I learned quite a bit from it. So that's what I would suggest. The other thing that came to mind was working on your doubles. So grabbing the clarinet, grabbing the flute, or singing down the piano, whatever double gives you the most issues, and working on it a little bit every day. Next question comes from Wes Montgomery. Great username. Any tips about practicing the augmented scale? Great question. So the augmented scale sounds like this. It's actually a subset of the notes from the Messiaen mode number 3, if that is of any interest to you. It was most famously used by John Coltrane on One Down, One Up. I think he used it a little bit before that as well. And it is a part of the modern jazz sound. So what I would recommend with this scale is to apply some of the same diatonic exercises you would do with a major scale to this augmented scale. So for example, thirds, or scale segments, or whatever you're working on in terms of your diatonic patterns, try those with the augmented scale. Always remembering that everything's an ear training exercise. You're working on hearing that sound, so sit down at the piano and be able to play it and be able to sing it. Another piece of advice that I would give with that is to play some of those exercises and play some of those patterns or improvise with it over a drone. I find this to be incredibly helpful just to kind of center my ear and the way I'm thinking about scales. I find it helpful to play with a drone. Give that a shot. Okay, last question this week comes from Instagram from Blythe Bennett. Who are your influences / inspirations in terms of language and sound concepts? This is a great question, and I think it's really hard for me to answer. I know some jazz musicians, when they're young, have a really clear sound concept in mind. They're thinking about one particular player that they are going to try to model their sound and they're playing after. I never really had that. I kind of bounced in between a bunch of different musicians, and it kind of gave me a collage of different influences. I wrote some of them down just to think about some of the players that I spent months with, and I came up with 15 to 20 names, including Mark Turner, Ornette Coleman, Herbie Hancock, Cannonball Adderley, John Coltrane, Sonny Stitt, Sonny Rollins, Maceo Parker, Sidney Bechet, Lester Young, Hank Mobley, Lee Konitz, Johnny Hodges, Paul Desmond, David Binney, Dick Oates, and Charlie Parker. At some point, each one of those players, I kind of dove into and really thought about their sound. Almost all of them I did extensive transcriptions from. The advice I would give to somebody looking to develop their sound is to pick someone that they really enjoy listening to and sit with them for a while. It's not going to be the last project you ever work on, and you're not going to sound exactly like the person you're working on. It'll help you figure out how they develop their ideas and how they develop their sound. And I think that deep dive is way better for you in the long run than kind of skimming over the top of a bunch of different players. Again, that list took me like 15 years to get through, so just keep that in mind. I think about everything as a cycle, right? So you're going to cycle to your favorite player. Let's say it's Lester Young, right? So I did 14 transcriptions of Lester at one point just because I got so into his sound and so into his playing. So I cycled into just thinking about Lester Young, and then as I worked on those transcriptions, I kind of cycled out maybe to something different, maybe working on a different book or a different concept. And then, I'll cycle back around to, whoever kind of piques my fancy at the moment. If I had to answer your question in terms of the people who are most influential on me and my sound, I think Mark Turner, Ornette Coleman, and Maceo Parker. I play a lot of funk, so I hear that Maceo sound in my head quite a bit. Ornette Coleman, his approach is unparalleled, and his the way that he develops ideas and his sound is just supernatural to me. Check out, I think it's at the Golden Circle, It's an amazing album. And then Mark Turner, kind of the same idea, just the way that he develops ideas and the way that he phrases things is magical. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see, consider hitting that subscribe button or the like button and doing all the YouTube things. I'd really appreciate it. This is a relatively small channel, but I like making these videos for you guys. So if you like watching them, consider supporting me in that way. Otherwise, have a great week. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk next Sunday. Okay, bye.